Hi, my name's James, and it's my job, and I specialise in the foundation areas of everything you do online. So I specialise in the foundations. So everyone must get the foundations of the website right, so that they get the best return on investment. So the bits that I specialise in is basically starting with keyword research, followed by paid advertising. So a lot of people worry about paid advertising. It depends on how quickly you want to get the data in, but you can start as little as sort of £1 a day for sort of 3 or 4 months in order to get the data. If you've got a bigger budget, obviously you can speed that up. Next, I concentrate on optimization of the pages, and then I also advise on content. So what sort of content should you be using and how you should use that content. The last and final part that I sometimes optimize the actual server, so make the pages go as quickly as I possibly can. But that's only if we've got direct access, and it tends to be mainly WordPress websites that we specialize in on the website optimization, server optimization. So what I'm going to do today is just run you through exactly what it is that I look at, and I'm going to sort of give you an idea of what the strategy looks like. And so here you can see we've got a demo site of a jewellery shop. It's an affiliate website. It's probably been up for maybe 3 or 4 months, so it hasn't got any listings. I haven't really done anything on it. We've literally just added the products, and yeah, it is what it is. So first thing I do is I have a look at the website, and I'm looking for glaringly obvious problems like typos or images missing, that type of thing. Anything that's going to really detract from the website and put customers off, basically. So websites are subjective, of course. So what you might like, I might not like. You might like the colours, I don't like the colours, and so on and so on. And that's why it's just a quick overview of the site. Next thing I'm going to be doing is I'll go over and I need to go to a site called Built With. This will tell me what platform you're using. So is it WordPress, Magento, anything really. It's going to tell me here. So here you can see I'm using an e-commerce website. I'm using Yoast, so it's clearly a WordPress website. I'm on SiteGround to optimize the actual site itself. And you can see the plugins I'm using as well. So this is also useful to find out if you use things like a content delivery network. Now in this particular case I'm using SiteGround, and I'm using their optimizer. So that's specifically built around the WordPress platforms, if you like, and that's one of the reasons I use SiteGround on that. So next thing I do is I'll go over to another free site called Domain Tools, and what I'm looking at here is the actual domain name itself. So here you can see Jewellery Gem at the top, .co.uk, and you can see how old the website is. Down the bottom here you can see when it was created on the server. So you can see 13th of August. So like I say, it's been up about 4 months. So what I'm actually looking at are these dates here. So Google wants to give you and I, the customer, the best possible search results. And for that reason, there's a number of trust points it looks at. So a trust point can be, for example, an SSL certificate. So if we go over to the website, look next to the domain name, here you can see this little padlock. It's 128-bit encryption. It's a trust point that Google looks for. So ideally you should have it. There isn't one thing that is going to make your marketing online work. There's a number of different things that are going to make it work. And so the SSL certificate is one of them, and also how long you register your domain name for. So like I said, Google's trying to give you and I, the customer, the best possible results. Imagine if you bought a present at Christmas or for Christmas, got to Boxing Day, the present hasn't arrived, go online, website's gone, they've taken all your money and you've got no way of getting it back. This is the type of thing Google's trying to avoid. So what I would recommend is, instead of doing the default settings, so here you can see 2 years between the update and expiry date, I'd recommend you probably register the domain name for a minimum of 5 years. And what this is doing is showing Google longevity. If you're intending ripping somebody off, the chances are you're only going to register the domain name for the default setting, which here 2 years for a .co.uk, and generally speaking 1 year for a .com. And so, like I say, we're talking about longevity. So we'll get rid of that window, and also get rid of this lost my line of thought, built with, which shows you all the plugins and what platform we're using. And then we come down to another site which is completely free called GT Matrix. So again, put your domain name in. I've done the test from London, UK, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this score here to a minimum, absolute minimum of a D. So if it's obviously the higher the better, so A being the best, and so you want the site to load as quickly as possible. You'll notice these words here says Web Vitals. So Web Core Vitals are part of Google algorithm, and what it's doing is it's looking at the load time above the fold content. So this here is above the fold, this is below the fold. Okay, so what it's doing is it's measuring the speed at which this page loads, and that's why there's a visual representation underneath here. Okay, then we look down a bit further, it's going to tell us what is actually wrong with our server and what's wrong with our website. We need to make the pages as quickly as possible, and you can see here there is a little bit of coding that probably we could do to actually speed this up and make the performance 100 and maybe the structure 100. And the things that usually go wrong here are usually videos. If you've got a video above the fold content, which a lot of websites like to do, make sure you use a pro channel like Vimeo Pro or a YouTube Pro channel, and put that video, embed the video on your site. Don't put the website directly on your site, because that's really going to slow things down. The other things that go wrong are images, so you're not optimizing images correctly. JavaScript, so here you can see JavaScript issues, and the last one that you probably find as a problem is the CSS files. So this is part of the last part where we try to speed the site up. So your hosting company should be able to do that for you, or your web developer. So let me get rid of that. Okay, so more interesting, digital marketing. So like I said, the first thing that I would probably do is going to be doing keyword research. It's absolutely critical that we get every possible keyword that is related to a topic or a service that we're offering. Okay, so if we look at the website, you can see here from the drop down we've got rings, earrings, bracelets, etc. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do the research on every possible keyword with the word rings in, for example. So what I've done is I've done some demo content here, so you can see. I'll probably use it eventually on the website when I get around to optimizing it. So if you click on rings, what you'll see is 9-carat gold rings, colourless rings, contemporary rings, every kind of ring you can think of. And with each one of these folders, so normally within the package we offer 10 of these folders that are focused around a product or a service that you're offering. And so if we have a look at the 9-carat gold rings, only because it's the first one, you usually find we have 4 or 5, quite often 5 data sheets within each what I would call a cluster. So they're all related. So the data that we collect is from Keyword Planner, which is part of the AdWords system, and secondly it's from the predictive search terms. So the reason the predictive search terms are so important is because we're now moving into a voice world where people are asking questions. They have Alexas in the house where they're saying, how do I do this? How do I change a washer or on a tap or whatever it might be? So those questions are really valuable to us. So the first sheet we're going to do is we're going to do the research, and we're going to find every possible keyword with, in this case, the word 9-carat gold rings here. So I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can see it. And so that's just going to be one huge, great big list, massive, great big list. And so what we need to do is we need to identify with, you can notice at the top it says positive keywords and negative keywords. So this is a really, really important bit of digital marketing, and a lot of people don't do it properly, and it will become relevant a little bit later on. You'll understand why this is so important to get this right. So a positive keyword is a keyword that you think are going to send the right type of visitor and traffic to your website who want to buy your product or service. A negative keyword is something you will 100% never ever use at all, ever. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to identify the negative and identify those positive keywords. If we're 50-50, is it a keyword we want to target or not, we leave it in the positive. If it's possibly something we might use in the future, again, we'll leave it in the positive. And what we end up with is a positive and negative set of keywords. Now, we live in a data-driven world where all data is important. It's how you use that data that is absolutely critical. And digital marketing it's all in the detail. So this is what tends to be the first spreadsheet we've made. Okay, so let's go to our spreadsheet number 2. So our spreadsheet number 2, bonsai rings, 9-carat gold. Our second sheet is going to be this one here. So this here is the most important data sheet we've got, because we can actually deliver the whole of the strategy from this. So column A, we've got all the keywords that we've identified as a positive keyword that we think are going to drive the right type of traffic. B is the volume, so how many people are searching on that particular word or phrase in the month in which we did the research. Here you can see column C is the cost per click, so how much is it going to cost if we're doing paid advertising, and obviously that's a rough estimate. Then we've got column D, which is the competition level. So 1 represents 100. If it said 0.02, then it'd be 2%. And then we've got month 8, 7, 6, so the last 12 months worth of search data. And the reason we have this here is products have, well, most companies have a budget, first thing, and you want to be able to move your budget to the month that you think you're going to get the most return on whichever product. So for example, if we were doing hoodies, obviously in November it's cold, people are looking for hoodies, there might be 100,000 searches, whereas June there might be 20,000 searches because the weather's warm, nobody wants a hoodie. If we were a music shop, we might look at the chart, look at the graph, the spreadsheet here, and we might decide that actually it might be worth putting our budget into guitars in April because more people are looking for guitars, and then in August looking at pianos because more people are looking at pianos. Yeah, you get the idea. So what I'm looking for here is in column C and D, so the cost per click and the competition level, I am looking for opportunities, because of course people have been online for maybe 20 years selling rings. So it's going to be really difficult, and they're all bidding on these top search terms. What we need to find is low cost opportunities. So we're looking at these 2 columns here, and as we scroll down, and do remember, we don't want 1 million people on our website, we only want the 100 people who actually want to buy our product and service. So it's about focus. And so as we scroll down the list, you'll start to see, as we get to the lower numbers, where there's opportunities. And so as we scroll down, you can see here, for example, there's nobody actually bidding against us. Here, nobody bidding against us. If you scroll down a bit more, and as you get to the lower numbers, you start to see more gaps opening up, and you start to see things like this, where you get nobody bidding against you, but also no competition. So obviously you can see rings itself, 9-carat gold rings, are actually quite popular. You can see all these are 100% competition level, but we're looking for these little opportunities, little nuggets of gold in between. Yeah, and if you can get maybe 10 of these people, 10 from here, yeah, it's soon going to add up, but they're going to be a lot easier for you to get, especially if you're a startup. Then as you scroll down, what you usually get to is this section here. So if we just delete that data, okay, and you can see here we've still got keywords, but there's no data. So I've seen digital marketers throw this away saying, well, it's no good to me, there's nothing there, it's useless. Well, actually, that's where they're wrong, because this here is the predictive search terms. The reason we have no data here is because this is from the predictive search terms. So these are new phrases. So on a day-to-day basis, something like 15% of every new keyword entered into a search is actually a new phrase that nobody's ever typed on before. So these are what those terms are, and so quite often there's a lot of questions in there as well. So it's really, really important not to throw this data away. The reason we have data up here is because this data is from the keyword planner, which is a part of the AdWords system. The reason we have this data again is because somebody somewhere at some stage has advertised on these keywords. That's why we've got the data. So really, really important how we use the data. Like I say, we live in a data-driven world. How you use this data is really important. So once we've got these two sheets together, next thing we're going to do is we're going to find our next sheet, and the next sheet is about questions. So what are the questions that people are asking about our product and service? So this is a really, really important factor, because this actually works quite well with our content strategy. So the important thing here is, once we've got this list, of course we want to know the obvious question, which is, where do I start? Which one's the best keyword to start with? So if we look for the data here, you can see our top question out of all this is, what is the difference between 9 and 18 karat gold? 70 searches a month at 58p with 39% competition level. Now if you look here, you can see the opportunities where nobody's bidding, and of course you've still got all these. So these are new phrases that have appeared that nobody has ever advertised. This is golden opportunities. So hopefully you can see how critical it is to make sure that we do our keyword research correctly right from the beginning, because this is the basis. So this is a proven data-driven strategy. The data is actually what people are actually typing into Google, because if you can come up obviously with a search term, so if we go to the search engine results page, so again, I'm sorry if you already know some of this stuff, I'm treating it like you know nothing, and hopefully you'll pick up eventually you'll understand the whole strategy. So this here is the search engine results page, SERPs for short, and you'll notice this bar at the top. So this is where somebody would put their search query in, and on the search engine results page you'll come up with one of these. Each one of these groups here is called a snippet. So these are snippets, really important. Quite a lot of digital marketers don't even look at them, and they are seriously important, because this is how you're going to get organic free traffic to your website. So you've got to make sure that these are right. So again, somebody's going to type something in here. What you ideally want is an exact match search coming up in the big line here, the big text. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through with you exactly what I'm looking at, or what I'm trying to figure out when I look at these. So the first thing I do is I'm going to look at where it says the HTTPS, then the domain name, then you'll see /shop, /contacts, and product categories /rings. So what I'm looking at here is, first of all, the https.com or .co.uk, that's called a permalink. You can't change it, it's permanent, it is what it is. But the slug, which is the next bit, /slug, this bit you can actually change within your website. And what I'm looking at is I'm going down this list, I'm looking at the slugs to see what they say and how relevant they are and how broad or narrow they are to the product or service we're offering. So if for example, I saw a slug that said training, for example, I'd be thinking to myself, well, that's just miles too wide and miles too broad, and you're competing against anyone who's doing any sort of training. So at one end of the scale, are you offering Microsoft 365 training? The other end, are you offering training rabbits to jump through hoops? Yeah, so it's really, really broad. So what we need to do is make sure our pages are very focused. So that's one of the things I'm looking at initially. And then what I'll do is I'll look down at this text here, so the big text in the snippet. So you can see here it says shop jewellery gem. Not very exciting, pretty much a default setting. So whatever you name the site, you'll tend to find whatever you've called it will come up in the headline each time in the title. So you can see here, jewellery gem, jewellery gem, jewellery gem. Same over and over. So that's a default setting. Ideally, we don't want that setting. So one of the first mistakes people make is that they put in their company name all over the place, and they say that they're doing a brand strategy. I once went to Johnson & Johnson, had this conversation with a senior marketer there, who said, yeah, the reason for that is because we're doing a brand strategy. And I was trying to explain to them that actually a brand strategy is not going to work in this particular case. If they wanted your brand, they know your brand, they're going to type it in and your website's going to come up. And if it doesn't, then you've got a problem. So for example, if I wanted baby lotion, if I specifically wanted a Johnson & Johnson product, yeah, I could either go to the Johnson & Johnson website, type in baby lotion, yeah, or I could go into one of the search engines and type Johnson & Johnson baby lotion, and I'm sure it would come up. Yeah, but 99% of the population are just not interested in Johnson & Johnson. All they want is their baby lotion, and that's what they're going to type in. And so what we need to do is we need to think very, very carefully about this title here. The title comes in two formats. It comes as a page title, also comes as an SEO title. So if you watch my mouse go over the tab, top left-hand corner, you'll see that tab shows what I've called the SEO title. So the SEO title and the page title are both 65 to 70 characters in length. And what we need to do is we need to do two things. First, extensive keyword research. We've already done that. We know what people are typing in. And the second thing we need to do is think about our benefits to the customer. So what is it that is going to entice that customer to actually click on that link? Okay. I used to own a bed and breakfast in Aylesbury. Okay. So I did the keyword research, really obvious one, bed and breakfast Aylesbury. That's what people are searching. So when you type it in the bar at the top, ideally comes up as an exact match. Somebody's going to click on that. Okay, so the second thing is, what is a benefit to the customer? So, marketing is about psychology. Okay, so if I said to you, the bed and breakfast is 200 metres from the town centre, you'd be thinking, well, that's great. I can go in, I can walk in, go to a nice restaurant, have a meal, get absolutely plastered, and I can crawl the 200 metres back to the hotel. Or if I didn't have a car and I was coming by train and I said I'm 200 metres from the 200 metres from the train station, I know I only have to carry my bags 200 metres. If, for example, I had to, I owned a Bentley or a Ferrari or something, I wanted a decent night's sleep, something that might be important to me is secure parking. So in this title, 65 to 70 characters, I'd be putting bed and breakfast Aylesbury, which is the search term they're looking for. Then the benefit to them is with secure parking or 200 metres from the town centre. It's all about the customer and the benefit to them, not what you're offering, and certainly not, in my view, you shouldn't be putting your brand name in there. A lot of big companies do that and they claim that they're doing a brand strategy. They've already got the brand, and if somebody types in Johnson & Johnson, John Lewis or whatever, the site will come up. So they're just wasting space. I don't understand how marketers do that, but anyway, don't get me rolling on that one. Okay, so next thing I'm looking at is here. This line here, again, really, really rubbish on this site. Because it's new, it really needs to be optimized correctly. So here, this is called the meta description. The meta description is 150 to 160 characters in length, and ideally, again, we need to be thinking of benefits to the customer. So if I was a bed and breakfast, title, bed and breakfast Aylesbury, 200 metres from town centre, and then in the meta description here, I'll be putting things like full English breakfast, because that's what people expect, secure parking, 55-inch TV, Sky TV, I don't know, anything that is a benefit. So when the person types in bed and breakfast Aylesbury, they're going to see an exact match search, they're going to see a benefit to them, and then they're going to see further benefits. The whole point of these snippets, and that's why I call them the advert to the world, is actually you want them to click it. Now if somebody clicks on and you get lots of traffic to your website and you're not selling anything, then clearly you've got a user experience. So it could be, I don't know, price is an obvious one. If you're selling pencils for £1 million, you're not going to sell many pencils. So that then becomes a user experience problem. So hopefully you get the idea of what we should be doing. If we do not complete the meta description, Google will randomly select content from the page, put that in there. We don't want that either. We want to be able to make up our own snippets. And you'll also notice that on this one here, for example, ... on the title and on the meta description, if you go over the prescribed limit, so on a title 65 to 70 characters, or on a meta description 160 to 165, 170 characters, something like that, you will find that you'll get this ... and that ... means you've actually been cut off from Google. You can see that on each one of them. So it's really, really important that we get that bit right. So what we need to do is keyword research. I've given you an example of how that will look. We then need to optimize the pages, but we also need to set up the paid advertising. Because ideally we should set up the paid advertising first, because we can use the data, the incoming data from the paid advertising, first of all to drive low-cost traffic, but also in order to work out exactly what we should be optimizing our pages for. So there's 7 points of optimization that I tend to look at. One is the URL. We've just spoken about the permalink and the slug in the snippet. On the search engine results page, we've then got the title on the page, 65 to 70 characters. Again, it's in the snippet, so it's really, really important. Then we're talking about content on the page. It depends what sort of content it is, but generally speaking, if you aim for at least 300 words, obviously, we don't live in an ideal world. So, you might find if you're just answering a question, for example, you can't make 300 words out of the answer. So it needs to be relevant. Then we've got the meta description, 150 to 160 characters. And you're basically looking there at the snippet again. So you've got to make sure that these snippets are just perfect, that you want people to click on them. Okay, so you need to make sure that they're perfect. Then we're looking at meta keywords. So a lot of people say, don't worry about those meta keywords because Google doesn't account for them. And you're quite right, they might not be. But Google accounts for something like 70% of the traffic. You've still got Bing and people like DuckDuckGo. They all take their information from Bing. So you're actually eliminating yourself straight away from 30% of the traffic. And why would you want to do that? So really, really important that if there's a space in the CMS for keywords, then put them in. Each of your pages should have an image on, and you're looking at the alt text. So this is the alternative text, and of course when we do a search, you'll notice that you can also do an image search. So when you click on the search, you can see the images from your site. So that's also important because people do image searches, and we want as many listings and as much customer as possible. So again, really, really important. The last and final thing I'm going to leave for a minute, and we're going to talk about the linking strategy, we're going to talk about the content. So basically, demonstrated the keyword research, the optimization, the paid ads. Okay, so if we go back to that initial conversation about the keyword research, you'll notice what we did was we checked out all the positive keywords, and we also made a list of the negative keywords. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all the positive keywords, going to put them into the AdWords system, and we know the exact terms. So what we're going to do is put them all to exact match. Anything that's low volume, we're going to change back to a broad match. So we max out on the number of keywords that are available. Then we're going to get all of our negative keywords, and again we're going to put those in the system. What's going to happen is, because we've done the research up front, the conversion rate, click-through rate is actually going to be higher quicker, because the positive is offset against the negative, therefore conversions are higher quicker. So a lot of people will only put in maybe their positive, a few positive keywords, and they'll try and figure out what the negatives are over the next sort of couple of weeks or months. The problem with that is every time somebody clicks on a link, of course, the customer, that's you, will be paying for that, the cost of however much that ad is. So it's really, really important that we set the paid advertising up in a way that is low cost. We want it to be as low cost, because when we get to the content strategy, hopefully you'll start to understand the reason behind that. So moving on to the content strategy, I wanted to demonstrate to you how we do that. And so obviously we've got the list of questions. Now a lot of people will be using things like Ask the Public, that type of thing. The point about this is that people like that, they tend to write a load of questions and then they'll put your keyword in there. What we've done is we've actually done the keyword research. We know the exact phrases that people are asking, which is obviously a lot more valuable. Okay, so we know what we can use in our content strategy. So if we go over to this other affiliate site I've got, it's about pets. Some of the images are not working at the moment because it's another affiliate site. I've just moved it over from another server. I need to sort out the images, so apologies for that. If you go here, you can see where normal people would put in here pet, blog questions or blog or something like that. What I've done is I've turned it into pet questions, because people are searching on the word pet questions. So here you can see volume, 40 searches a month, the cost per click 0, and the competition level is 2%. So I can drive people into that page using a paid advertising campaign. You can then see under there we've got dog questions. Go to dog questions. You can see here 210 searches, 31p at 4% competition level. So what we're trying to do is drive low cost paid advertising into fully optimized pages for the higher value keywords. So if you go now to look down this list, you can see where some of the images are missing. So why do dogs eat grass? Why do they have wet noses? Etc, etc. So these are all questions people are asking. And then you get to this really stupid one, which is, why does my dog lick me? So you'll see that this is what I describe as a prime question. Yeah, why do dogs lick me? We go here, type that in, you can see there's 2,900 searches a month. Cost per click is currently 6p, but I do know that sometimes that goes up to like 85, 86p. You can see the competition level is 3%. But that's 2,900 people at 6p. You're not going to really turn that down. So even if you put it at the budget at £1 a day, you're still going to get quite a bit of traffic of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to optimize the page for why does my dog lick me? Ideally you'd have the image in, of course. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a paid advertising campaign, and we're going to look for keywords that are low volume, low cost, should I say. So here, Why does my dog lick me is the prime question. Excessively at night, 10 searches, 0, 0. So nobody bidding against me, no competition. Here, why does my dog look me in the face so much? Again, no data. Chances are we're going to get that quite cheap. 10 searches, 0, 0, 20 searches, 0, 0, and so on and so on. Excessively, so if I start to write excessively, you can start to see here this one's 9p for 230 searches, 10, and so on and so on. So you get the idea. So basically, again, the actual content strategy is based around that keyword research we did at first. And so the question is, well, the strategy is do the keyword research, put together the paid advertising campaign, optimize the pages according to the results from the paid advertising. Then, in your content strategy, use prime, high value keywords or phrases that other people are bidding on. Then drive the low cost traffic into those pages. What's going to happen is people are going to find the prime question, which is why does my dog lick me? And they're going to find what they're looking for because it's the same question just asked in a different way. When they stay on the page because they found what they're looking for, Google sees they see on the page. It's obviously relevant content, which then brings up your organic listings. And so that's the idea behind it. Okay. The next thing we need to think about as we build out our content is we need to think about our internal linking strategy. So we need the anchor text. So this is the text that you actually link, hyperlink, click on it, goes to another page. That text is very important what it says. So if the question is, how do I feed a cat? You need the link to say, how do you feed a cat? It needs to go to a page that is fully optimized for how do I feed a cat? And again, because the customer is finding exactly what they want, they're staying on the page, Google sees they're staying on the page, and that will bring up your organic listings. And so, in effect, you're using the paid advertising to drive the traffic into those high value pages. And if you keep it relevant, you can then build up onto that. So at that point, usually, 3 or 4 months in, again, it depends on your paid advertising budget, how quickly you want to drive the traffic in. I wouldn't recommend you do it too quickly because it's better to take data over a bit of a longer period if you can. But I also take the point that a lot of people want to just get on with it. And again, we can usually accommodate most strategies. There is an element of, we're going to have to talk to you to discuss exactly what you're trying to do. Is it B2B? Is it, are you trying to get more consumers, so home users or whatever it is? So hopefully that gives you a good overview of exactly what the strategy looks like. If you've got any questions, give me a call. I'm James. Thank you.